What's up, America? Neil here with Geauga Firearms Academy, and thanks for watching. Today, we have a great video. If you are into duty belts, battle belts, any type of belt that you're going to wear equipment, law enforcement, security, this video is going to be for you. In this head-to-head, we're going to take the core belt, one of my personal favorites, against one of the most popular belts in the market for law enforcement security, the Safariland Bianchi belt. First, let me get in a little background for you guys. This is not I took this one out of the box and this one out of the box. Yes, I have new versions of both, but I have a lot of experience behind wearing them. More importantly, I'm going to talk about the durability and actual use purposes, not just like I took them out and I tested them or I scratched them or I cut them. We're going to look at some of that data right now. But more importantly, how do they hold up over time? Here's the Bianchi belt again. Safariland puts this one out there. It's a very popular belt, comes in all types of different, whether you want basket weaves or this pleather leather type material, whatever you want, the nylon as well. They have a Velcro system, just like the core belt. On the outer belt, this is going to be the soft side of the Velcro, which is the loop side. The hook side, that's that scratchy part that would be on the inner belt. We will look at both of those, both the inner and the outer belt on both systems, because there's a lot to be said about that. The system's pretty simple. It's a Velcro system that comes around, connects to itself, essentially, and then you have these like larger permanent keepers on the end that slide over. The safety mechanism on here, if you will, so that this doesn't come off during a hands-on encounter or some type of fight or whatever, I don't know, just getting in and out of cars. If you press the two tabs, the belt doesn't separate. You have to press the release and the tabs and they come out. And by the way, before I put this one down, obviously this one is brand new, not even really worn yet, and there's a reason for that. Now I'm going to get to that in just a bit. That brings us to the core belt, and I am a little biased in that regard because it is actually the duty belt that I wear every single day. And there's been a couple updates even from this one, which is barely a year old, which we're going to talk about. Same concept here. I'm going to show you how this buckle actually comes on and off and the safety features for that. Similar in this, it's a redundant system, so there are tabs on the back of the belt itself back here. Even if one of these tabs are pressed, the belt is not going to release on either side. It doesn't release. You have to press both at the same time and then the belt will come apart. Let's talk buckles. So this is the Bianchi plastic buckle that comes with it, and then this is the core all aluminum buckle. There is no comparison here, so I'm going to give you a close-up of what I'm talking about. This is the core belt. This one I took off my duty belt. This I actually have about 6-7 months on it. It looks perfect, which is crazy to me, because getting in and out of cars and everything, it looks like it was brand new out of the package, which is pretty crazy. But you can see it has 4 screws in here. It has the big teeth to grasp onto the belt, and then you tighten these 4 screws down to make sure that thing is never coming out of there. Then it has the 2 release tabs. I mean, I guess if you had to, you could use this as a hammer. Look how thick the actual metal is on this. Here's your plastic Bianchi belt. Again, press the 2 tabs, the third one comes out, but there is no comparison in durability between the plastic Bianchi belt and the aluminum buckle of the core belt. With the Bianchi belt, this is where clearly the core belt really shines. One of the beauties of the core belt is the ability to make quarter-inch adjustments on the fly, flexible, even as a duty belt. Amazing feature. So I'm going to show you, this is again, the way this is going to work with the Bianchi belt. You're going to take your belt, and this is not the easiest thing in the world to do. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's a lot easier to do with the core. So just putting your buckle on, you're going to force this guy on. This last tip here of the belt, this is going to have your hook side because it's going to hook to the loop side of itself. So let's say we're going to make an adjustment, and right now, since it's already been that way for a while, it's pretty easy. But let's say I do need to go a 1/4 inch, right? I need to make this just a little bit, or a 1/2 inch or whatever. Then I take this off, and then I'm going to put it on a more rigid part of the belt. So now I've got to try to take this end and force it together. I'm not saying you can't do it. It's just a little bit more difficult. Then I'm going to put the keeper on it, the end there, and then I'm going to put it back on, make sure it fits, and if it's not, then I'm going to go back and adjust it. And anytime I need to make an adjustment with this, that's what I have to do. Unlike the core belt, which hopefully you're somewhat familiar with by now, it has the actual track line in there. So yeah, you know, I want a little bit more than that. I want a little less than that. Okay, that's it. So that, what you just saw, that little clicking process, It's the same as me undoing this, trying to slide it back and forth, then fold it over and going back and forth. The reality is that with that belt, depending on what I'm doing, it's not necessarily that my waist size is going to expand or contract a lot. It could be my job. Like I'm going to be in a, maybe you're in a specialty unit like transport, and you're going to be sitting in a car for a while, or you're in patrol and you want the belt a little looser, and then before you get out of the car, you want to just be able to quickly tighten it up. Those are amazing benefits that you're not going to get from a standard belt like this one. Let's talk inner belts. Everybody's a little different on how they get to work, whether you keep all your stuff at the station, or you bring it in your car and you take it back and forth, or you wear a lot of it. It doesn't really matter. For me, I like to keep my stuff there at the station. And the whole point of this is I wear only the inner belt. Now, this is important if you're one of those people. So the inner belt is not designed to be load bearing in either setup. However, this is the Bianchi belt, and it is super thin. I mean, I could make this into an accordion. It's just, there's not much to it. This is the core belt. It is significantly sturdier than the Bianchi belt. I mean, that is, I can't really get that a whole lot tighter. That's about as close as I can get. And so the way I roll this is I wear my inner belt, holds my pants up, and I put my gun on here. So yes, I said that correctly. I wear my belt with my gun with this just to get me to work. I have a setup with my quick release on my blade tech, and that just comes off, goes on my duty belt, and we're good to go. Why I'm such a fan of core, I've never ever went, man, I wish this was stronger, or this looks like a weak point, or ever had it fail, or had any issues with it whatsoever. This part being hexagonal or whatever, never even crossed my mind that there's anything with it. I've just worn it, it's been great, it carries my gun belt, which you're not supposed to do, and it's been amazing. So here, we have the new and improved core belt, inner belt, and what they did with this guy, as you can see here, and I'll hold the two up so you can see the differences. Here's the hexagonal pattern, whatever you want to call that, you can kind of see my hand through it, and now it's a solid piece of material, okay? So I asked Core, is this just like a one-off? Is this what you guys just sent me? Like, what's the deal? And they said, nope, we felt that this is going to be much stronger, so we went with this route. Core sent me, obviously, the core belt and the Bianchi belt in the concept idea that I can cut it up on film and you can see it and see the construction, all that kind of good stuff. But I have one better for you guys. Prior to the new core belts, I had, ta-da, a Bianchi belt. Imagine that. And I know for a fact, because I had a specific assignment, that I wore this belt on for 1 year. So this has 1 year of use. Now we're going to get into a close-up here in just a second. So this is the best of any possible review you can have, because I'm not just taking something and showing you side by side, look at the material, look at this. I'm showing you actual wear. Believe it or not, the core belt that you saw has got at least 6 months on it, so half the time. We'll show you the condition of it side by side. Now, let me just tell you a little bit about this belt and how it was used, because that's going to give you some good background on what I'm going to tell you. In this particular assignment, I was basically in charge of the safety and security of a structure and the people within it. No real patrol, wasn't in a vehicle, in and out. I probably had 4 hands-on experiences where, you know, myself and other officers are physically restraining a person. This has not seen heavy use. This is what I would consider extremely lightweight use, okay? So, and it was exactly a year, because that's how long I was on the assignment for. And the only thing I really had on this belt, similar to what I have now, I had a taser on here, I had a cuff case, and I had a, obviously my gun, okay? So those 3 things. So again, I like to carry most of my stuff on my vest, so I'm not a big belt guy, so it doesn't get a whole lot of heavy stuff. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys a close-up of only 1 year of light use on the Bianchi belt. Let's begin on the inside. Here's the buckle. I got to say, the plastic buckle, although it's no comparison to the metal core belt, it didn't, I guess, hold up for a year, which is not very long. You can see here by the fuzz that it's starting to fray already, the stitching from the actual, like the end keeper, I don't know what you guys want to really call these, but that holds the flap down. Again, big deal. Can you replace these? Sure you can, okay? But that's only 1 year. You can start to get a close-up here. You're going to start to see smaller tears where the actual material is just rubbing, just simply from having the belt keeper on here. It's going to get much worse, believe me. So as we come around, you can see the top is already splitting right here. It's a regular Safariland holster attachment. Obviously, millions of you guys use these. Nothing special. I'm just going to slide this out so you can actually see this from where the actual I mean, it's actually embarrassing. I was going to have to obviously replace this anyway, but you can see this is the top of this. Look, it's completely split open. Okay, I mean, if I were ever to be inspected with this, I would. It would not be a good day for me. So that is completely fallen apart. And you can see on the bottom here, it's starting to split down here as well. But where most of the weight sits, it's just totally destroyed this upper belt. You can see in the back here, it's actually, and I never even noticed this until just now, there's nothing to be torn off because it's gone. It's just worn. This is like the foam material that makes the edges of this. And you can see that on both sides. And then on this side, not that it's faring much better, but you can see here it's starting to split right here. I could, if I really wanted to, I don't want to make it worse than it already is, but that's actually where the wear is starting to really show through. So this belt has not, I mean, if you look at this, especially right here, not something we'd want to present to the general public. And this is, again, I want to be very clear, light use of 1 year of use. I mean, that is crazy. By the way, those little markers are just so when I take stuff off, I know where they go. So pro tip. So this has about 6 months of use. Much heavier use, getting in and out of cars, regular patrol, regular police stuff. We can look here. I'll slide the taser around a little bit here, so you can see where it was. I literally didn't have to use the marker just to mark where it was because it looks perfect. It looks like I've never ever used this. And the nice thing about this is it slides a little bit so I can move it around when it's on my body. Once everything's connected with the Velcro, nothing moves, and which is another nice advantage of this. The track line here, you can see there's no visible, I can't really say, well, look, that one's all messed up and that's why it's always on that tooth or whatever. Everything looks new. It looks like it was never ever used. Here, we'll slide this is the tightest part. This is here you can actually, finally, here, you can see a crease, which is pretty normal. You definitely see that on leather, and that's where the actual, the ends of the attachment are actually making contact. But you can see, in comparison to here, I'll bring it back on scene here. In comparison between the two, I mean, are you kidding me? This is only 6 more months. It went from brand new to that. That's crazy to me. We're going to examine the inner belt and outer belt of both of them. We're going to cut these in half and see what makes them tick. We're going to use these household shears to see if we can't just cut through this guy. And the purpose of this is I want to kind of look at the insides of each belt. So this one is obviously in only a year, it has extinguished its life. So let's see if we can use regular household shears and cut this in half. I don't even think these are particularly sharp. Oh yeah, wow. Okay, well that was pretty easy. So again, I think you're going to see a significant difference here. So this is the Bianchi, one of the more popular belts on the market by Safariland, cut in half. I was going to cut this out with a knife, but I realized I can just pull my finger in here and pull this apart. That's how, wow, look at that. So this worked out better than I thought. I'm not really even using that much force. So the stitching pretty much let go on its own. So here you can see, wow, perfect. There's the outer pleather, plastic, whatever you want to call it. And then this is just foam. There's no rigidity at all. It's just foam. It's like a sponge. Basically, that's what makes that up. That little thin piece of plastic is all the structure you really get. Then it's just sewn around this pleather leather and then foam. I'm shocked at that. I thought there'd be something more to that. That is, wow. Okay, anyhow, this is the inner belt, okay? I figure why not? This is the inner belt on cord. So I'll bring the camera here on this one. I'm gonna show you something. The problem with this one is, as you saw how easy this one just kind of rips apart because it's just adhesive, right? I mean, I can keep pulling this apart. This one is sewn, okay? So there's a row of stitching. Actually, there's 4 rows, if you will, but these two in particular. So I can't even get in here and pull this apart. I'm gonna try. Oh, okay, I got a little bit. So here, check this out. There is, that's actually incredible. Hold on. All right, off camera, I'm gonna do a little surgery here. This is wild. So I actually got the scissors inside here and I had to cut the rows of stitching to get this apart. But check this out. Now again, I want to make this clear. This is the inner belt. The inner belt. This is not even supposed to support weight. If you look at the outer belt of the Safariland, the Bianchi, and that one are about the same. And now for the big part, folks. Here we go. We're going to talk about the outer belt of the core. I got a little piece here that I'm going to show you guys. So first of all, we cut this guy with a pair of shears. So I'm going to show you why I call these the core cutters. But here's the regular scissors. I'm going to keep working it. I feel like I'm going to break them, but we're going to try. The problem is you need so much torque. You have to get it all the way to the end there that the plastic end sits there, and there's no way I can move the scissors down this way. There's no way, I can't get enough pressure on there to cut that. So you can't really cut those with those very well. Same thing with these. They actually, believe it or not, they bottom out. So here's the initial cut. So then the shears, we can cut to there, but I can only get to about halfway. That's it right here, because it bottoms out. So basically I cut half this way, and then I flip it over, kind of like cutting a tree, and I line it up, and then I cut it this way. And I get to the kind of weird spot where they're almost meeting together, and then I can cut it off. There's that laser cut edge that comes from the factory, and there's kind of my snaggletooth setup. That said, let's look at these two. And I want to, again here, I'll just use the regular scissors real quick and cut you off a fresh edge, which is super easy, even with shears. Cuts like nobody's business. They're not even comparable. And then you can even see how I can bend the edges here, and I can't bend this side. Bianchi belt, as we said, it's just foam, which we know now. It's just adhesive, that's it. And then there's the two, I don't really think that really does anything for rigidity, because it's just the two pieces of leather that comes over the edge. Where with the core belt, one, you have the stitching from that same lip or whatever that protects the edge of it. So that's stitched, which we can say is also a part of the Bianchi. But here's where the big difference comes in. You can see the stitching that runs not one, not two, but 3 lines of stitching that runs throughout the entire core belt. Even this tab, I can't take these 2 fingers, even that little bit, maybe 3, there we go, just to bend that little piece. I mean, this is super rigid. Here's the cool part. We take these 2 pieces and we put them together. The 2 together, I mean, that is an incredibly rigid, tough belt design that is not coming off. And if there is some type of implement in here, attachment, to show you how this would work, once the 2 Velcro ends come on there, that Velcro holds the attachment from sliding back and forth. Here's another thing a lot of people miss if you're not wearing these every day. When you wear the Bianchi, the inner belt, the hook, the scratchy part is the inner belt. So what that means is, when you're wearing this, especially if you're just wearing this belt, the scratchy part is always wearing on the fabric of your clothing, whatever type of BDU or pants you wear, whatever it is. Where on the core inner belt, that's the loop side, that's the soft side. So when you are wearing this inner belt, the soft loop side is what's rubbing against your material. So it's pretty easy to assess that this is going to wear your pants out and your loops out faster than this will. This one just feels like a quality Velcro, and this just feels cheap. The full set, I mean, the greatest test, if I put the Velcro on this side, on this one, and I put the Velcro on this side and this one, and then I tear them off, there's a significant difference. The core belt holds significantly stronger than the Bianchi. The one thing I used to say that was negative, the only thing I could come up with that was negative, was that core's buckles were not, there was no option for silver or gold. Good news though, I can no longer say that, so I don't really have anything negative to say. A lot of departments require either silver or gold buckles, and according to Core, that is coming out soon. The last thing I'll leave you guys with is value. At the end of the day, that's in the eye of the beholder, but for the price difference between the Core and the Bianchi, it isn't a huge difference, and at the end of the day, I would say you're probably going to go through at least 3 Bianchi belts before you get to the end of the life of a Core belt, and Yeah, the core belts, especially if you do different assignments or you ever have to have different appearances. As I said in a previous video, just switching buckles and switching belts can be pretty affordable and pretty easy to do. So I think just from a life cycle of the two products, there's really no comparison there as far as value goes. So I hope you guys liked this video. Hope you got something out of it. Again, hope we bring you some more core products, some more unique things that they bring to the market for you guys and get some more exposure, because I really love their company, what they're doing. Obviously, their support in law enforcement. You know where to find us here on YouTube, of course, Facebook, Rumble, Instagram, and of course, we put all our premium content on Patreon. Until next time, remember, it's always better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6.